Hello friends, today we're going to make an Italian dish from the area of the country that I grew up in. I grew up in Rhode Island. We were talking about that in the social studies video. And in my neighborhood, it was very much Italian and all the people there spoke Italian. And sometimes the street was even painted with the Italian flag and they would have parades that went by. It was very Italian. And today I'm going to show you how to make pizza, because when I grew up, that's what we had a lot of. We had a lot of pizza. When I would come home from school, my mom a lot of the time would be making pizza and I would get to have it for a snack after school. So that was pretty cool. And we would make the gravy that goes on top of the pizza. We called it gravy, but you probably call it tomato sauce. But today I did not make the gravy because it takes a long time to make it and I just wanted to focus on the dough. But this is the pizza sauce that I'm going to use, the gravy. It's called Michael's of Brooklyn. It's a good one from Publix. And I used it and then I added a lot of cool ingredients. So roasted garlic and oregano, basil and onions and peppers, and I cooked Italian sausage in it. So the sauce is going to be really good. Okay, so now we're going to get our ingredients for the dough. And I have all this over here is for the topping. And you can have whatever you want on your pizza, but those are for later when I actually put the pizza together. But right now we're going to make the dough. So we need water, warm water, 1.5 cups of warm water. We need olive oil and we need flour. And you should probably have a spoon that you can use to mix things up with. And this is called active dry yeast. This is the yeast that helps the dough to rise. And I noticed that this one is not fast rising, and I was wondering, aha, I do have fast rising. So you can have 2 different kinds of yeast. This one takes an hour to rise, and this is a fast one, and I want the fast one, so I'm glad I looked at that to see. And all I need is 1 packet of it, so I'm going to cut that. But before I even start, of course I have to wash my hands. You know, we have that crazy virus going on right now, so it's really important that we wash our hands all the time. Every time you think about it, you should wash your hands. So I'm going to wash mine. And of course, we always wash our hands before we cook. So remember when we were in school, we would do that before we did any food prep. We would always wash our hands. So I'm going to wash them really good and make sure that I don't have any germs on my hands. And you can be thinking about what kind of toppings you might want to have on your pizza. I wonder if you just like it with cheese, or if you're the kind of person who likes Italian sausage or meatballs or spinach or any of those things. And I always keep a towel around for cleaning up messes and drying my hands and all of that. So keep your towel near you too. Okay, so starting off, I have 1.5 cups of warm water. I'm going to pour it in my bowl. And then I'm going to take my yeast, the rapid rise yeast, and I'm going to cut it open and then I'm going to sprinkle it on top. I'm not sure if you can see that so good, so I'm going to move the camera. There we go. And so that sits in there. I'm going to give it 1 little spin. I'm not going to stir it too much. And that is going to get the yeast is going to get moving. It's going to turn it kind of a different color. And then we need the olive oil. And I just use a 1/4 cup of olive oil, but you could use a little bit more. If you wanted to. But I'm just going to use a 1/4 cup. Okay. need a little bit of salt. Not too much. And then you stir it up. And it makes this very cool color. Like almost like, looks like sand. Okay, I'm gonna put my lid back on my olive oil. Okay, so now we've got the basic ingredients for the pizza dough. We've got the warm water, the yeast, the salt, and now I'm gonna put 1 cup of flour. And you don't have to be too crazy in measuring it. It doesn't have to be exact. So you just put about a cup in there. And I like to pour a little bit in and then start mixing. And then a little bit more and mix. Mommy can also do this in a food processor with a dough spinner if she wanted to. I like to do it in the bowl, but you can also use a food processor if you wanted to do that. Now it's kind of like a soup, so this is the part where you might be able to really help Mommy by stirring. I know you're good at stirring. Okay, so it looks kind of funny. Doesn't look like dough, does it? It's really watery. So now we've got to keep adding more flour until it starts looking like dough. It's going to take a little while. We use a total of about 3 cups of flour. I try to do just a little bit at a time. And you keep scraping the edges of the bowl while you stir it. And I'm just adding a little bit at a time. Oh, and now it's getting a little bit thicker. Almost like a dough. Can you see how that's happening? Everybody likes pizza, and what's cool about this dough is it makes 2 pizzas. So you can cut it in half and you can make 1 pizza that maybe your mom and dad like with some interesting ingredients, and make a pizza that you like with maybe just cheese if that's all you like. Maybe you like pepperoni, or I love olives, so I always put olives on my pizza, but you notice I don't have too many of them left because I eat them before I can even get them on the pizza. I love black olives. Actually, any kind of olives I like. Oh yeah, do you see how that's turning into a dough now? Take a look at that. It's starting to really look like a dough. This is about my last cup of flour. So it should really be starting to look like dough now. Oh yeah. This is where it starts to get a little bit messy. I didn't have a full cup there, so I'm going to add a little bit more. This is making a lot of noise. Let me put this down. There we go. Oh yeah, now it's turning into a dough. Now's where it's a little more challenging because because it's sticky. And I know it's going to stick all over my hands, but that's okay. That's part of making pizza dough. So you can do this part with your mom, the stirring part, or your dad, whoever you're making it with. And then the next part, mommy or daddy are really going to have to do because it gets so messy and it's kind of hard to do this part, a little bit hard. Okay, it's turned right into a dough. I got to move my camera now over to my spot where I'm going to actually put the dough down. So let's see if that'll work. Okay, that's a good spot for you to see. And here's my pizza stone. You do not have to have a pizza stone to make this pizza. You can do it in a cookie sheet. And like I said, it's going to make 2 pizzas, so I might do one on a stone and I might do one on a cookie sheet. So the next thing I need to do, I have to make sure that my work surface is nice and clean, and it is, so that works out. And then I put my hand in and sprinkle some flour on the counter, kind of making a bit of a mess. But we'll clean it up when we're done. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do, and I like to bring my olive oil over too, just in case I think I might need to put some on my hands. In fact, I think that's how I'll start, is putting a little bit on my hands. Ooh, too much. Don't want to waste that olive oil. Okay, so here's where it gets a little tricky and a little sticky. And I'm going to use that in the sink, and I'm going to use a little bit of this cup here to get my flour. In case I need any, it'll be right here. Alright, so I'm good to go. I'm going to scrape this out. Woo, put it right on the work surface. And I got to get a little bit of flour, so now I have flour and olive oil on my hands. I might need a little more. And now I'm going to work the dough. It gets super sticky, so you got to play with it a little bit. And I just kind of, this is good for when you feel like you need to get your frustrations out. You can pound the dough really good. You can punch it real hard like that. I always thought that was kind of fun, that part. And you can kind of get it going. That helps all the dough yeast to really start working when you pound it like that. Okay, we don't have to do too much. This is a nice dough. It's coming out quite lovely. It's a little messy on my counter, but that's okay. One thing I forgot is I'm going to need a bowl to let this rise in. So I'll be smart and I'll wash my bowl out so that I can use it to put the dough in. Because this dough gets very, very sticky on the bowl, and you'll have a hard time getting it off if you don't clean it right away. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean it right now while you're watching. And I'll show you what I do with the dough so that it can rise a little bit. It doesn't take long because we used that rapid rising yeast. I'm going to wash the bowl. You don't even have to use soap or anything because you just want to get most of the dough out of there. You don't even have to get all of it because you're just putting dough right back in. I'm going to use my paper towels and dry it off a little bit. We don't want any water in there, so you got to make sure it's pretty dry. Alright, so I washed my bowl, and now we got to put a little bit of olive oil in there, just a little. Here we go. And then you use your hand and you push it all around the bowl. And now let me move my camera again so you can see real good. And we're ready to go, ready to put this in the bowl. It is ready. It's a slight bit sticky, but I still think that'll be okay. making a mess everywhere. Tell your mommy that she doesn't have to make as big of a mess as I make. I'm known for making some really good messes. Now, if you wanted to, you could toss this up in the air, but I wouldn't recommend it. I'm not good at that, so I don't really know how to toss it up in the air. Okay, so now our dough is nice and ready to go. You don't have to knead it for too long. And you have this nice, beautiful pizza dough. And you're going to put it in your bowl. And you're going to turn it just one time so it has oil on both sides. And then we're going to cover it with some plastic wrap. I'm going to wash my hands again. And you leave it in a warm spot to rise. And then as soon as it's done rising, we're going to turn it into a lovely pizza. Actually, maybe one pizza. I'm not sure. I might use the dough to make something else. Also, another thing that we make in the town that I grew up in is these lovely spinach pies. I don't know if you can see the picture right there. They call them Wimpy Skimpies. Isn't that a funny name? So I might even make some Wimpy Skimpies later and just make one pizza. But right now I'm going to put the plastic wrap on the dough. And we should put a little bit of oil on this plastic wrap, just a little. That way, if the dough touches it, it won't stick to the plastic wrap. So we'll put that right on there, nice and tight. And then I usually just put it over on my stove and let it rise. So I'm going to let it rise now. Put it on the stove for a while. Just let it sit there on a cold stove. But there's sometimes a little bit of heat, so it'll rise over there pretty good. And then you see what it looks like now. In a little while, it's going to be bigger. So then we're going to turn it into a pizza. All right, let's see you in a little bit.